Well, let's go to Yemen now. It's a nation at the southern end of the Arabian Peninsula, bordered by Saudi Arabia to the north, the Red Sea to the west, and Oman to the east. The population, around 24 million, and GDP growth estimates have been fluctuating because of the revolutionary uprising there. For 2011, estimates range around 4%, with inflation also at 4%. The US-backed government has carried out a brutal war against Houthis in the northwest of the country, and the whole of Yemen has been in turmoil since the uprising in February. Well, I spoke to Ambassador Dr. Mohamed Qubaty, former advisor to the Yemeni government. He resigned this year. A warning to our viewers that some of the footage in this interview is graphic. Ambassador, welcome to Double Standards. Yemen in the news, not so much as Syria, but bubbling under, and developments moving apace. So by the time our viewers watch it, things may have changed even more. Describe how you came to be in Britain and what you did in the Yemeni government.
Well, it's sad to say that Yemen is not that much on the news, though people have been in the streets for the past 8 to 9 months now. I'm actually a university professor, but I became appointed head of the political department of the ruling party in the late 90s. And then besides that position, I was appointed to be a political advisor, senior political advisor to the Prime Minister of Yemen. But they didn't like my advices, so I was sort of sent as an ambassador for Yemen to Lebanon.
Whose advice did they take instead?
Well, it was just a show. They wanted to show, in front of the Western world that they have got people who have studied in the West and they have got, bright ideas, which... but
sort of public relations.
Yes, public relations rather, yes. So then I was demoted, actually, sent as an ambassador for Yemen to Lebanon and to Cyprus.
Well, before we get on to the serious humanitarian crisis, arguably caused by a government in kind of chaos, let's get to the spy thriller bit. This bizarre, sudden appearance of the president. He'd been wounded, of course, in Sana'a, and then he suddenly arrived back. How did that happen? It sounds like a spy thriller.
Well, I mean, we have all the time been actually warning the world that with Saleh, they're dealing with a very devious, untrustworthy, and cunning, unpredictable person.
Washington and Riyadh saying they had no idea he was returning to Sana'a.
I don't know. It looks as if he tricked them. I mean, we knew for a long time. I mean, I have been, on record saying that the man had some arrangements about 6 months ago to go to Ethiopia, where he has got some relatives and he has got some business relations with top businessmen in Ethiopia. And he bought, we heard at that time, he bought a palace. It seems that he have convinced his Saudi host that he was going to leave to Saudi Arabia. But as it came out, the Royal Saudi plane took him on its way to Ethiopia, to Addis Ababa.
That would mean that the Saudis were perfectly willing to allow him to go to Ethiopia.
Yes, to Ethiopia, because he was going to go there just as, as an ordinary person, not in his capacity as, as a president.
So he's not that wounded as well, because of course there was an attack, which is why he had to be medevaced to Saudi Arabia.
The whole question of how he got wounded is still a puzzle. Nobody knows what happened, actually, because there are rumors that he was trying to, to sort of outmaneuver his enemies by showing that they wanted to kill the whole entourage. And then as he was leaving the scene, he got shot. He was not amongst the people there in the scene, because till now we cannot explain how 7 of his closest bodyguards were killed in one go. How could they?
So here we have this Yemeni president on the airport. He's in the plane.
Yes.
He's an ally of Washington.
Yes.
An ally of the Saudis.
Yes.
And then what happened?
He arrived in Aden as if he was just to take some of his personal stuff and so on, got down from the plane, and the Saudi plane was just shocked to find that there were 5 helicopters there waiting for him, and then they swiftly moved him to Sana'a. He arrived in Sana'a, nobody knew, to the capital.
On the other hand, if Saleh was acting in this kind of way, what do you think Washington thought? And by the way, what you said doesn't say much for the vast expense of the US military budget on satellites, overhead monitoring activities and so forth, because Washington said it was surprised. Obama did say, we don't want Saleh there.
Yes,
kind of.
Yes. Well, the thing is, which worries us there, as you know, politicians, nationalists, as revolutionists, we haven't seen real pressure on the man. You know, we have been hearing for the past 5 months. You know, the man has got to go. The man has got to sign immediately the accord. You know, but we have not seen real pressure. There is no even arms embargo. He has received arms from Russia till 2 weeks ago.
Maybe sold down the river at our big arms fair here in London. But for those of our audience that don't understand the cruelty of the regime, these nephews, Tariq, Ammar, his son Ahmed, in terms of the numbers of people killed and missing and imprisoned by this regime, I mean, to give our viewers a kind of scale of how authoritarian the regime is?
I'm not telling any secrets. You know, Tariq, Ahmed, and all his nephews and son used to go for their, summer vacations to spend time with Saddam's sons. Their role models is Uday and, the sons of Saddam. Like Ali Abdullah Saleh, his role model has been all the time Saddam, and recently he was just showing as if he was a Gaddafi-like man. But this is the kind of atrocities and criminalities which were perpetuated in Iraq. You know, if the Iraqi man never hesitated, to sort of spread poisonous gas on his people, the man in Yemen will not at all hesitate to, for the purpose of continuing as a ruler. By hook or crook, he's got to continue with that.
Well, with the presence of Al-Qaeda and some analysts saying that U.S. interests should be far more targeted in what is happening in Yemen than anything that's happening in Afghanistan, Pakistan or Iraq, why do you think the United States are deciding the way to solve this situation is remote-controlled drone strikes rather than any policy issue?
The man, as I've said, our man there...
Well, we're talking about President Obama.
Yes, but he is always capable of playing games, The Americans have no reason...
You mean President Salah? But Hillary Clinton is not... do you think she's taken the eye off the ball?
I'll correlate that. Al-Qaeda has been the #1 fundraiser for Ali Abdullah Saleh. He has been blowing out of proportion the dangers of Al-Qaeda.
Of course, you want change in Yemen, so a lot of people would say you would say that.
No.
You want NATO to start bombing Yemen?
No, I don't want NATO to bomb. No, on the ground, our forces, if we want to take over... Don't forget, Yemen, we have got 60 million pieces of firearms with the people. But the people, just to gain the confidence of the world, we have been asking our people on the ground to continue their peaceful, downbringing of the regime. They have been in different squares for the past 9 months. If they wanted to make a scenario like Libya, it's easy. Ali Abdullah Saleh he only controls effectively part of the capital.
But so, Ambassador, you are saying that Al-Qaeda intimately related to the Saleh government, and of course Saleh being an ally of the United States, so all of this connected with 9/11, weirdly, but the Americans in support.
Well, Ali Abdullah Saleh and his regime are very much... We know that at one stage he got out 23 of the most wanted Al-Qaeda people. He helped them to get out in 2006. He's playing this game. Recently, before he left to Saudi, or while he was in Saudi, he managed to pull some of his security forces and the army from certain towns in South Yemen, where I come from, so as to show that these extremists has taken over.
Exactly. He told the Americans he changed.
Well,
which is why the Americans took him on side.
Yes, but he changed, but he still continues to play this game. He wants Al-Qaeda, the danger of Al-Qaeda to be continued there. That keeps him in place. That gets him more money from the West and from our Arab, from Saudi Arabia. And at the same time, he manages to get help to train special units, to arm special units, and those special units have been used.
You mentioned Russia, but not from America.
No, the Americans have trained. Unfortunately, our friends, the Americans...
So the massacres of Houthis by people that are trained by the United States?
The massacres of our demonstrators were perpetrated by people trained by our friends in the West and armed by people in the West. Those units, instead of going fighting the extremists who took over 2 of the towns in South Yemen, Instead of going there, they were fighting people in the streets, and they left those extremists to take over those towns. It was us, the revolutionaries, and the army which has defected, who were fighting those in the cities where the extremists had taken over.
Okay, you are from Yemen. You
Yes.
know that country. Put yourself into the position of being a top analyst that's advising the National Security Council in Washington or the Pentagon or the CIA. Would you be saying go in, given the history of U.S. Regional power plays, or at least take a different course? Because at the moment it seems drone attacks
Yes.
are the favored policy.
Yes.
What do you think of drone attacks, U.S. drone attacks in Yemen?
The drone, well, the danger is to stay on the fence, saying that, well, things could be managed by drone attacks. The danger is Yemen might move into anarchy and complete disintegration, where this gives chances to Al-Qaeda and any extremists.
What kind of blowback do you think the United States could suffer, or Western allies? But I think the United States is particularly important here, and of course Saudi Arabia, if they don't have that perspective.
Would they like, a Somali sort of scenario to move towards the southern area of the Arabian Peninsula? Not only a Somali, 3 times. We are a country of 25 million, population.
Why should they care? They didn't particularly care about what was happening in Mogadishu.
No, why should they care? We're just besides the #1 producer of oil in the world. We are in control of the Bab el-Mandeb Straits, which 3 to 4 million barrels of oil pass through it. The whole economy of the world could go into turmoil, my friend. Yes, that's a danger which has got to be kept, and that's why Ali Abdullah Saleh has been telling them, he has been playing this game, that he is the man who is controlling peace and stability in that area. No, Ali Abdullah Saleh is not part of the solution, he's part of the problem now.
Well, Ambassador, please come back as this story develops. Thank you very much.
Thank you.